Hi everybody, it's Terry with Crafty Book Nerd. Today I have part 4 of our 9x9 Not So Many scrapbook. In today's video we're going to start doing some decorating. We're going to decorate the front and back cover and start decorating the insides. I am going to have a part 5 of this video because I don't want this to be too long and we still have to do our inserts and tags. So before we get started, you know what time it is. Time for our quote of the day. And here's today's quote. It comes from Proverbs 15:13, and it says, "A happy heart makes the face cheerful." And I hope you have a happy heart today. So let's get started. Done a lot of prep work, so this hopefully won't take too much time to do this video. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut my pieces. This is the piece for my spine. I've cut 2 pieces and layered them. The bottom piece is 8.5 by 2 1/4, and the top piece is 8 by 1 3/4. So that's my spine piece. For my front cover, I also did a double. I did the green solid is a 8.5 by 8.5, and the decorative has been layered on top of that, and that is an 8 by 8. And I was able to cut it so that you could read the "Let It Be" there. I thought that was really, really sweet. So I've done that, and I've got my tape on the back ready to go. And then for the back cover, I'm just keeping it simple, just 1 sheet of 8.5 by 8.5, and that also has the tape. So let's go ahead and put those on. And also you'll see here, this is where I'm going to be putting my ribbon, and I usually do that first so that I don't forget. And I've cut my ribbon to about 16, and you'll need 2 of those, 16 inches. So let's just go ahead and put this ribbon down here. And you do want to go in a little ways with it, so that it doesn't pull out, and you'll still have plenty to tie. And then I secure that with a few pieces of Scrapbook tape, like so. Okay, and then for the back, I just turn it over and get me a piece of tape and line it up with that one. Kind of made that piece a little big, didn't I? It'll be all right. And then I lay my other ribbon down, and I try to even them out so that they're even. And if they're not, they can always be trimmed, but that's looking pretty good right there. So, okay. So there, now I'm gonna go back to the front, And I usually put, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here, put my spine piece on first. So let's go ahead and take our tape off of that. Let me give it a good burnish. Show those measurements one more time. The bottom part is 8.5 by 2 1/4, and the top is 8 by 1 3/4. Okay. And I will also add some glue to this for a little extra oomph to make sure that it adheres well. Okay. And if you've got any tape hanging over, just wrap that to the back. I've got a few spots here. Okay. Glue. Get the lid off. A little bit of glue all the way around the 4 sides, mostly. Okay. Now I want to make sure this is the front of my book, and it is. I know that this is my front there because I know what I've got there. So that, because if this paper, this spine piece doesn't matter, but if your paper was directional, it would. And I'm going to try, I may be out of frame for just a minute to get this on, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like, because it's kind of hard to get there. All right, I think you can kind of see that. Let me up a little bit. So that piece is on. Give it a good burnish. I may come back and add something decorative here. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so there's the spine. Moving on now to the front cover, and that is our piece that is doubled. The bottom solid green is an 8.5 by 8.5, and the decorative is 8 by 8. All right, pull the tape off of these. Oops. And I like to use the 1-inch tape on this to give it a nice stick. Again, I got a little bit hanging over, so check all that. That wrapped around. Come out just a little bit. Get some glue around the edges, and I'll also put some glue on the middle of this one since there's no adhesive in the middle. Just put it over there. Oh, got this tape off. I'm not sure if I'm going to put anything else on the front of this book. Sometimes I put a title, but the way this paper is, it's so pretty. It just says "Let It Be," and I think that that serves as a title in itself, and I don't really need to do anything else. And I'm trying to get the same amount of black, pretty much even around. Okay, that looks pretty good. Make sure I'm at the front. Yes. Get all that down. Okay. All right, very good. The back piece is next, and I forgot to put me a couple pieces of tape on top of my ribbon here, so I'm going to do that now. Make sure that's down good. Get that off. Okay, and this back piece is 8.5 by 8.5. Now, if you wanted to double mat, you would just cut the 8.5 by 8.5, and then your top piece would be the 8 by 8. But I decided just to do one piece. I really am trying to stretch this pack of paper. Most of you know Graphic 45 is not cheap paper. And what I usually try to do is get one good size book out of a pack and then a smaller book. And so I really do, and you'll see how I stretch my paper when we go on to the inside. Stretch it as much as possible and mix some solids with it. This is good. This paper is non-directional. And so that means that it's okay how I put this. Got some tape hanging off. Okay. So, get my head in there. And I may put a decorative something on the back. Since we didn't do the double matting, I may put a cut apart or something back here. All right, lower down. And there you have it. All right, it's looking good. All right, let's look on the inside now. Pull this out of the way. Love that bright yellow ribbon. So I went ahead and I've cut some of the pieces, so that will save us some time. And this is for your front and back pocket, so you'll need 2 of these. You'll need 2 pieces that are 8 3/4 by 2 3/4, and that's going to go down here. And then this piece at the top, you'll need 2 of those that are 8.5 by 6. So 2 8.5 by 6 and 2 8 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay. I always like to make mine the same. I don't know why. And I will be gluing this. And I always, when I measure, I like to leave a little bit of black around. Okay, that's good. And there will be a tag that goes in this pocket as well. And we will get to that next part. Try to keep this shorter. Got my words going the right way. Slip it under there. Just under a little bit. Okay. That looks good. Okay. Now on these part, we didn't need to do anything because we had that in that. And then we come to our first page here that had our pocket. And so what I've decided on that is I've got a piece here and I have pulled out some solid colors that match my paper. That's one way that you can really stretch your designer paper, is mixing solids in when you can. So this piece here measures 3.5 by 8. Trying to see if there's a right way or wrong way on these flowers. I think it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're going to get that to where it's got a nice little black border around it. Okay, and then this piece, I always do it so that it kind of can sit inside, so it goes in that pocket a little bit, so like so. And that one is 4.5 by 8. I usually do these bigger pages first because then you end up with scraps that you can use, and you'll see how I utilized a lot of scraps for some of the other spots, and that really does help your paper. Okay, and we'll have a tag in that one. Okay, then we get over here to our belly band, And that piece is 3 1/4 by 8. And that's just going to go right on top of here. And then I may add something else when I do some more decorating to the top of this piece. But for now, I'm just adding this yellow piece. And this is out of that same yellow that I used on the other side. So I'm utilizing my scraps. I think that looks good. All right. And that was 3 1/4 by 8. All right, now we're moving to our triple pocket, and for that you're going to need 3 pieces. The bottom piece is 8 by 3 3/4. And this was a scrap from this piece right here over here on this side. So that was part of that paper that I used. Save those pieces when you're cutting because you just don't know. Right, put this one on this pocket. Okay, and then the middle one I decided to go with the solid yellow because I thought it would break the pattern up and it would look good. And that one is 8 by 1 3/4. I hope you're enjoying this tutorial series. Would love to have some comments below about what you think, or if you make a book, I'd love to see photos of what papers you used. And then the top one, I decided I still had some scraps of this, and so I thought that would look really good with all that matching and matching over here with that as well. And that one is also 8 by 1 3/4. Got a little bit of something hanging there. Let me see. Trimmed it. There we go. Okay. Let's see. I think it should go that way with the bees. You do have to pay attention to the way your paper is. And you'll see this one's got a little bit more black around the top and bottom, but it was a piece I had left, and it wasn't that much shorter than what I needed, and I said, I'm going to use it. Okay, so 8 by 3 1/4, 8 by 1 3/4, 8 by 1 3/4 for those 3 pieces. Okay, then we come over here to where it ties. I went ahead and put my ribbon in where I had told you, a ribbon there and a ribbon on that flap. And what I did with this one is I had this piece left, and it measured 8 by 4, which that was good, but it wasn't going to cover the whole thing. So I picked a color of red, and I did the red piece. I think, is that it? 4 1/2 by 8, so it can go under like so. So I'm using 2 pieces here, and then I will come and put a photo mat on top of that. But that way I'm using scraps and then making in the solids. So this one was 8 by 4. And this one is 8 by 4 1/2. And you use what scraps you have. If you have a smaller scrap, then make your solid bigger. You know, you use what you have in your leftovers. That's going to work for you. Okay? I think I'm going to put the red piece down first. Don't go over where it folds. Try to get it centered. Some black. Okay. Now I got that piece of ribbon coming out this way to tie with the other piece. That's how that whole section's going to tie. And now I've got my piece of decorative paper. Some glue on it. And this was another piece of a scrap from another piece. And so I'm really, like I said, using those scraps up. And I'm going to just make this overlap on the red however much I need to. I've got to cover that tape. I want to make sure it's even at the top and the bottom. So I need to come up just a smidgen. Okay, it doesn't want to come up. Okay, pull it up. The beauty of glue, you've got a few minutes or not. Come on, don't tear. Yes, thank you. Trying to get it even with that red piece there. Looks like I got a little smidgen, but it'll be fine. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, and what I'm going to do on here is, you could cut a mat for a 5 by 7. I'm going to stick with the 4 by 6s, And you could use, remember we had cut our mats down to smaller, but you could put a 4.5 by 6.5, which I think this one is. Yeah, the way the mats come, you could actually do that one here, and it would just give you more around, whoops, too big of a photo. It would give you more around your photo, more space. And you could put it over here to the side. I'm kind of thinking over here like this, or I could do it this way. You could do it portrait or landscape. I'm thinking I'm going to put it over here more, and then this could be a good place for some journaling or for some other decorations. So let's just go ahead and add that mat. And this mat's a 4.5 by 6.5. It's the size that you actually buy. I love those bees, so I don't want to cover up too many of the bees. That looks good right there. Okay. Now over here, remember we'd had just our mat, and I went ahead because I don't want you to have to see me measuring and doing, but what I did is I went through the whole book and I wrote all the measurements. I measured the length for this and the width, and I wrote it with a white pen. I measured this one, and I went through the whole book, and then I came back and looked at my scraps, and I started using my scraps and cutting the pieces that I needed to go around. But you can see how this really stretches, because if you would be covering each of these pages with your decorative paper, one page kit would never last you. That paper is very expensive, and so this makes it look good, and I love the way the solids mix in. So I did that one already. Okay, and here's another one that I did. I did that one as well. Okay, I did this one, and I did this one, and most of all this is using scraps from other of the bigger parts that I had cut. Now see, that's coming down a little bit. Let me get a piece of glue there. And then this piece, this whole section here ties. The part 5 is going to be the inserts and tags, because that's more decorating, and I think that this will be long enough when I finish this one. So yeah. Okay. All right, we've got these two here. We don't have to do anything. Okay. We have another one of the pocket pages. So we have another piece here, 8 by 3.5 and 8 by 4 3/4. So let's go ahead and put those down. Now this, I did cut, this is a brand new sheet here, and you'll see it used because I had some scraps from it when I cut that bigger piece there to use. That I use the little scraps. That's why I do the big pages first, because then you can use these little scraps that you have left for matting around your photo mats. Remember, this book will be for sale. Haven't decided on the price yet. I've got to wait and see exactly how many photos it holds. And then it will be for sale, and then it will be in my Etsy shop. If somebody doesn't grab it before I get a chance to put it in my Etsy shop, they can get it from me that way. Gosh, I love this paper. It's so pretty. Okay, just slide that in. We need some black. There we go. And that was 8 by 4 3/4 and 8 by 3.5 for that one. Okay. All we have to do on this one is cover up our little piece that holds our waterfall down. Haven't decided what I'm doing here yet, but we'd already done all that. So for your waterfall, I decided to go with the solid because I think I'm going to put something decorative on top of this little piece here, and you need 2 of those that are 5 by 2 1/4, and you put one on the back and one on the front. Okay. Our next section here was our ribbon, our green ribbon that we did. And you can see again, I've used a piece here and a piece here. And then I've done the same on the back. There's a piece and then that piece there. And again, on this bigger piece, once again, I had this piece of red left and I had some of this left. And so I'm making those work here. So now I've just got to decide. I think I'm going to put the decorative on this side and the red on this side. So mine ended up being, they're both 8. I did this one 8 by 5 and this one 8 by 3 3/4. I'm going to put the red down. Remember, use what you have. Okay. For your scraps. Nobody says that the whole page has to be exactly the same. The beauty of solids. So I'm going to do here. I think I got it too far up. Got to come down a little bit. There we go. Okay. Let's take our piece here. And I always do one of the pieces a little bit bigger so that so they don't butt up to each other, because sometimes that doesn't work real well. But this, if you do one a little bigger, then you just come and overlap. Let's see if I'm getting it straight. Okay, so that was the 8 and the 8x5. Once again, we are going to take one of our 8 1/4, one of our 6.5 by 4.5 photo mats. We did the last one in portrait mode, I think. Gosh, but it does lend itself to a lot of journaling if you do this. You've got some space here for stuff. Decisions. I think I'll put it this way. I think I'll go ahead and put it portrait. So let's go ahead and put that down. So now you can see why I didn't put photo mats on these big pages, because I did want to decorate those. Let's see. All right, there we go. That looks good. Okay, and then that's been decorated, and that comes, and that, and that, and we take these two and we tie all this together to hold all that down. All right. Okay, turn that over. And now we're on the back part. And I already did this one a little different. I put 2 red strips here because I had enough of that. And I had this piece here. And then up here I've got yellow and that. And then here I've got this piece and this piece. Remember, we did put a photo mat. And then this will also have a tag. And you need this piece here that is a 2 by 8 to cover that pocket. So let's glue that down. Okay. Right. 2 by 8 for this piece here. All right, and now we're back to the back cover. I'll just refresh your memory real quick. Those pieces, this top one is an 8.5 by 6, and the bottom is a 2 3/4 by 8 3/4. That's those pieces. All right, this one. I'll just slide that in here a bit. Okay. Now this is big enough to put a photo mat on, so we could do that. I also have cut-aparts that have some 4x6s. Like this one is a 4x6. Sometimes I mat those and put them on top there. We've got this one here that could be matted. Don't worry, be happy. I don't know yet what I want to do there, so I think I'm just going to leave that for now. Okay? All right, so that takes care of all the pages. They're all got their decorative paper on them. Now we need to do our pockets, fill our pockets with all of our tags and stuff. So I'm going to do that in the next video. That way each one will not be too long. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you've been with me from the beginning, I appreciate you so very, very much. I will link the other parts of this tutorial in the description box below. In case you haven't seen any of those, you can start back at the beginning. So stay tuned later for part 5, where we will put in all the tags and inserts. Thanks for watching and have a great day.